Okay. I want to go on the record saying I don't like it when my main characters are picked on. I prefer the sci-fi of the good versus evil, the adventure, the action. But these last couple of episodes, especially Frame of Mind, I don't like it when they pick on my characters like that. And I especially don't like it when, come here, come here. I don't like it when they do the mental episodes either. And my gal pal here doesn't like it either. So, yeah, Frame of Mind was just, you'll have to go check out the video. I didn't even do a recap. I just, talked about it a little bit, but, it was not, it's also like the one with Picard, where he's tortured. I don't like it when my characters are tortured or made to think they're crazy or something like that. There's a couple of episodes of Stargate where they do that too, and I don't like that either. Um, and if you stay tuned to the end, we'll do some nitpicking. And you don't know how upset I am that I did not discover this book 6 seasons ago. I wish I had known this book existed. We could have had a lot more fun with these recaps if I had known this book existed. And I want to do Voyager after this. And imagine my disappointment when there is no Nitpicker's Guide to Voyager. So, will you nitpick it with me? So, we will do this at the end of the video. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, K-O-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. So, we did Frame of Mind last week, like I said, and that's got to be the number 2 worst episode. Some other people claimed it was a critically acclaimed, it was good acting, all that kind of stuff, but it's right up there with the Picard episode. I didn't like that one either, way he's tortured, and the lights and all that. I didn't like all that. I don't like them trying to convince people that they're nuts when they're not nuts. I just didn't like all that. And what are you doing, Smokey? Smokey, stop. Ah. I'm going to get me a camera. If I knew how to do it, I would do it, but I don't know how to do it. I should go ask Taran to put a camera insert into my video so that you can follow the cat around, all the stuff she does to distract me during the video while I do this video. Because, hey, you and electrical wires are not good. Um, so I don't have that technical ability. And Star Trek is the only video that I do during the week that I'm not on the couch and she can't come sit next to me. So she's upset that she can't come sit. Would you stop biting the wires? No wires. No wires. Is the only video that she can't join me on the couch. Stop biting the wires. She's got this thing for wires. You're gonna be 9 years old, you know. Oh, we gotta get some youngsters in here. Stop. Smokey. Smokey. Where was he? Suspicious Minds. And although, besides the stuff with Dr. Crusher, I like Guinan. I like that she's here to provide moral support. That part I like. There's no overview or voiceover in the beginning of this. This bothers me. She comes in her room. She's fully dressed in her uniform. Guinan comes in, wants her attention to an elbow. Her elbow hurts. She wants the doctor to treat it. The doctor says she belongs in sick bay. And Guinan says no, she doesn't want sick bay. She wants Dr. Crusher to fix it. Only Dr. Crusher can fix it. So, why doesn't she get up and just fix it? She's all dressed. She's in her uniform. Why doesn't she just get up and fix it? That's my nitpick. Because wait, I don't understand this at all. She makes Guinan wait until she changes her clothes. What is up with that? She makes Guinan wait until she changes her clothes. She was fully dressed in uniform. She could have treated Guinan, had their talk, and let Guinan leave and then change. But no, she made Guinan a patient wait until she changed into more relaxing clothes. That doesn't make sense. She changes out of her uniform into casual clothes to treat her first. That doesn't make a hill of beans of sense to me at all. So Guinan comes in, and like I said, she wants her to treat her elbow. And she says, 3 days on a shuttle to Starbase 23, transport back to Earth. I can hear Admiral Brooks telling me now I've disgraced Starfleet Medical. Then a leisurely day and a half before the formal inquiry begins and my career ends. Beverly, my elbow. Your elbow. Let me see it. Does it hurt? Yes. And she does the fixing. I've never been to a formal inquiry. Well, we'll see if I can arrange one for you. All you have to do is disobey orders, violate medical ethics, and cause an interstellar incident. Well, I guess that would do it. Do I have to hit you before you tell me what happened? It all started when those scientists came on board. No, it started when I got curious. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's why I went to Altine conference. I heard a new subspace technology developed by a Ferengi, a Dr. Rega. A Ferengi scientist. His invention was based on metaphysics, but his physiology was completely unorthodox. I like unorthodox. Too bad you weren't there. No one else would listen to him. They all jeered him off stage. But I had read his paper, and his work was extraordinary. So you gathered all these scientists to come here, this Ferengi. Yes, I hoped I could be a facilitator. I thought if I invited scientists from various cultures to board the Enterprise, I could sit them down and help them understand the value of his ideas. Like a diplomat. Yes. Exactly. So after persuading Captain, I had to round up as many scientists as I could from the field of subspace technology. So, she's telling Guinan all about what happened. All of the scientists I invited, only 4 were interested in hearing Dr. Rega's invention, and I wasn't altogether sure they were going to be compatible. Korak was a warp field specialist on Klingon, and I don't think Klingons regard scientists very highly. She always seemed a little defensive. Dr. Tipan is practically a legend in the field of subspace morphology. She's been the director of Vulcan Science Academy for 15 years. Her husband, Dr. Crisper, came with her. I didn't know much about him, but he was some kind of subspace theoretician. Joe Brill was a Tarkarian, the first one I'd ever met. I had no idea what to expect from him, and then there was Dr. Rega, a Ferengi scientist. You've all seen my experimental data. The metaphysics shield has been proven. Forgive my skepticism, Doctor, but your claims are somewhat extravagant. Protect a shuttle within a star's corona, not even your own government believes it can be done. That's why I've invited you all here. You have the vision to see potential of Dr. Rega's experiments. I need help to develop the shield. I'm willing to grant exclusive rights to whoever provides the necessary resources. I think you all realize what this shielding process could mean. The possibilities, exploration, and research are endless. But Korek says only if it works. I'm not convinced that metaphysics shield can withstand either the temperature or the radiation it would be exposed to. But it has. Not only as it counters simulations, but in a field test that I conducted myself, for which, of course, we only have your word. Are you accusing me of falsifying my data? You would not be the first scientist to manipulate experimental data for his own advantage. Dr. Rager has offered to demonstrate his invention. He's outfitted one of our shuttles with his shield. I will take it into the corona of the star Vitan. That star has a super dense corona. The shuttle would be subject to particular intense radiation. Perhaps it would be wise to choose a star of lesser magnitude. I agree. My own research into solar energy transfer suggests corona is extremely unstable. What better way to test my invention? I'm not concerned the shield will hold. And they do some more talking. Then, after all the negative criticism, Dr. Crusher gives him a little pep talk in the hallway. So then they're on the bridge and they're launching the shuttlecraft. Dr. Crusher says, not bad for my first venture into scientific diplomacy. Data, Captain, the shuttle has been launched. On screen, open a channel. And Jabril is on the screen. So Sabil says, I am 1 million kilometers from the star's kilometers, proceeding at 3/4 impulse. I should reach it in approximately 3 minutes. The metaphysics shielding has begun to form. Data says external temperatures is 0.9 million kelvins and rising. Radiation levels are near 10,000. That should have no effect on the shuttle cabin. That's right, temperature in the cabin is 21 degrees Celsius and the radiation levels are normal. So they're doing all this stuff from the bridge of the Enterprise. At some point, the experiment, the guy goes into the thing and things appear to go wrong. And radiation levels outside the shuttle are nearing 14,000 rads. Temperature inside the cabin is still normal. I am now fully engulfed in the corona. It's astonishing. You see, Doctor, metaphysical shielding is a reality. Dr. Jobo, can you give us an estimate of plasma? And something goes wrong. I don't understand. This shouldn't be happening. Mr. Worf, can you beam him out here? The solar radiation is interfering. He must be at least 500,000 kilometers from the star before we can get a transporter lock. And he says he can't breathe. We're losing him. Dr. Jabril, listen to me. It's imperative you turn the shuttle around. Take it out of the corona. Do you understand me? Pilot away from the star. And then they beam him to sickbay. So, question. If it was the Ferengi's experiment, why wasn't he on the shuttle? Question 2. If it was a Starfleet shuttle, why wasn't a Starfleet officer on it during the experiment? If it was the Ferengi's experiment, shouldn't he be the one doing it, or didn't they trust him to return the shuttle? So then the guy dies on the table. And everybody tells Dr. Crusher to just leave it alone, but she decides to do an autopsy against everybody's thing. And it actually says she does an autopsy. But if the guy, all right, spoiler alert, he's faking, how does she not know he's still alive internally? So then we get back to Guinan. So that was my first experience as a scientist diplomat. A complete failure. I don't understand. No, I mean, I've lost patients before, but this was different. You know, when you're a doctor and you have patients, you're in control, but when you send someone out on a mission, all you can do is sit and watch. That's what I felt, helpless. Anybody would. Don't be too hard on yourself. You know, what you say reminds me of something John Luke said when I was doing the autopsy. So Picard comes to talk to her. It's probably the most frustrating autopsy I've ever performed, and the most frustrating because Jabril's anatomy was unlike any I'd encountered, and I've run into some usual specimens. How's it going? I've never run into a humanoid species before like this. His internal psychology is baffling. He doesn't seem to have any discrete organs, at least not in the traditional sense. Particularly, every system is equally distributed throughout the body, the kind of physiology that make him incredibly resistant to injury. So whatever killed him had occurred at the cellular level. Do you have any idea what it was? No, something caused a massive system-wide failure. I don't know what. Were the cellular radiation level not high enough to kill him? His exposure to the star's radiation was minimal. It's all very strange. There's no apparent cause of death. Doctor, here's the result of the tissue scan you low. That's odd. The rate of cellular decay is very low. The answers will come. Maybe even minimal exposure to the radiation altered the cellular psychology. You know you've been at this for hours. You might think more clearly if you got a good night's sleep. I can't sleep. I want to find out what killed him. I owe it to Dr. Rega. You're doing it for Rega or yourself? What do you mean? You're the loneliest person in the world right now. No one can say anything. No one can do anything that help. And you think that it will never go away. And you're right, it won't. But you get used to it. I know what it feels like. At the time, I was too occupied with my problems to understand what he was saying. I wasn't thinking about the rest of my life. I was trying to understand what happened. So Jordy, Data, and the Ferengi are going over the shuttlecraft. Jabril's death has raised a lot of questions. Jordy and Data were determined to find out what had gone wrong. They were busy going over every millimeter of the shuttle with Dr. Rega's help. Running the diagnostic on the EPS flow regulator. The flow regulator is functioning properly. What about the field emitter coil? Has it maintained polarity? Yes. The radiator force compensator. I am unable to locate any malfunction. All systems are operating according to your design specifications. So Dr. Crusher comes in. Did you find anything? No, I don't understand. There must be something we've overlooked. I found microline crystalline damage to the hull, which confirms your shield was breached by a burst of byronic radiation. Were the levels high enough to cause damage to organic tissue? I don't know, Jordy says. Perhaps there was an unexpected interaction between the solar radiation and the metaphysics shield. No, that's not possible. I anticipated every contingency. Then maybe Joe Rail ran into something in the corona which you didn't anticipate and your shield wasn't able to protect him from. My shield was not at fault. Rega seemed angry, but I knew it was because he was so disappointed. Everything he worked for, hoped for, slipping away. So then they're all in the science lab. I'm sure you all understand that in light of what happened, I think it would be inappropriate to continue for the testing. Perhaps if Dr. Rega has perfected his metaphysiology, we can try again. Dr. Crusher, please, if you could have a little more time to investigate, I know we could find what went wrong. But that won't bring Jabril back, will it? I don't believe the shield will ever work. Its very concept is flawed. Just one more test. Whom do we propose we sacrifice next? I will shuttle the craft myself. I'm sorry, as Chief Medical Officer, I'm responsible for the health and safety of all people aboard. I will not authorize any further tests. Very well, I will prove myself. I couldn't help but admire his technology. He just wasn't going to accept defeat, and I hoped he would prove himself, but that was the last time I saw him alive. So Beverly does a little voiceover. Um, we'd gone to Science Lab 4 when the ship's sensors registered a sizable plasma surge there. Look at this, a plasma infuser. It's completely discharged. The blast must have killed him instantly. Worf says perhaps he would not live without the failure of his invention and took his own life. Or perhaps someone just wanted it to look that way. Isn't it odd that he would hold something so tightly to the diffuser when it was discharged? The normal reflex would have been to drop it. The plasma shock could have affected his nervous system. He may have reacted by gripping tighter. I'll know when I do an autopsy. Is your examination... So Beverly wants permission to do an autopsy. She knows she can find the answers with an autopsy. Picard says the Ferengi family has specifically said no autopsy. And he's telling her no autopsy. So she does one anyway. So then she's in the quarters explaining to all of them that the Ferengi was murdered. And they're like, why would anybody want to kill him? And Dr. Crusher's like, well, if his technology had been successful, it might have been as a displacement permanent scientist in the subspace technology, but it wasn't successful. It's illogical to conclude that I had such a motive, isn't it? I must resent this, and they go all through the accusations. So then Dr. Crusher talks to Korak. That looks like Dr. Vega's shield configurations. Yes, personal research. Even though it's technology fab, no one has denied that there is potential in the idea, which you are now free to develop. Are you accusing me of something? No. But I want to know why you threatened Dr. Vega. I warned Dr. Vega that if he persisted with the slander, he would pay the price. What was his accusation? I will not repeat lies. Were they lies? Be careful, Doctor. Insulting the honor of a Klingon can be extremely dangerous. Did Rhea make the mistake? I have heard enough accusations now. I will have your silence. Well, you're going to have to throw me a lot harder that if you want to get to it. Now, what did he accuse you of? Because she backs her up against a wall. Sabotage. Sabotage of the metaphysics field? Was that why it failed? How would I know? Did you sabotage the project? No, I did not. And she leaves. So, Beverly does something she was not supposed to do. Now, this is a new office for him, isn't it? I haven't seen this for Picard before. But she comes to confess that she went against everything and did the autopsy. Picard is very upset with her. You most certainly should not. I made it clear to you that the family would not allow it. Not only have you disobeyed my order, but you've interfered with the burial rights of another culture. You've put us both in a very difficult position. The family will have to be notified. I have no doubt they will react strongly. If the Ferengi government comes involved, as I am certain they will, this could have significant repercussions. I'm not sure how I can protect you. So that's the story. That's how I ended my career. Backhand volley. What? Guinan says, that's how I did it. Geordi kept hitting to my backhand at the net. Guinan, 2 people died on this ship. 2 lives that ended horribly, and you're worried about your tennis game? Are you upset? I don't know. You tell me. You're supposed to be wise. Well, if you are upset, why are you mopping around here? Why don't you do something about it? I've done everything I could think of. It got me fired. Do you think Dr. Rhaegar killed himself? No. Do you think there's a murderer on board? Yes. Then why are you sitting here? Don't you get it? If I start digging around, you could be relieved of duty, Guinan says. Then there's a voiceover. Chief Medical Logs Officers Personal Stardate 46831.0. I will be leaving the ship tomorrow to attend the Board of an Inquiry. That means I have less than 24 hours to get to the bottom of this mystery. So then Dr. Crusher talks with Data. I am running additional diagnostics to make certain there was no permanent radiation damage to the shuttlecraft hull. You've studied Dr. Vega's shield system. Do you think it could have been sabotage? There's no evidence of sabotage, Data says. Crusher says, just consider the possibility. The system interlocks prevent access to the circuitry unless the shield emitter is active. Any attempt to sabotage the device would have to be made while the shield was in operation. The only time the shield was active was during the flight. That's correct. It seems unlikely that Jabril would perform sabotage, which would result in his own death. I agree. Would it be possible to sabotage the shuttle by remote during the flight? A phasionic pulse beamed directly into the metaphysic projection matrix will result in a temporary system malfunction. Where on the Enterprise could you generate a phasic atomic pulse? Such a pulse would be initiated from the lateral sensor array, Science Labs 1416, or any of the bridge science stations. Let's assume for the moment that someone did send out a phase ionic pulse. What would have happened inside the shuttle? A tetryon field would be formed briefly in the cabin, temporarily disrupting the metaphysics field. A tetryon field? If Jabot was exposed to a tetryon field, it might have left residual traces. She goes to look. So then Riker comes up to her. We've arranged for a shuttle to take you to Starbase 23. You can leave the ship at 0700 hours tomorrow. Thank you. About everything that's going on, I'm sorry. I'm sure it'll all work out. Yes, of course. You know the inquiry is just a formality, and Captain Picard will do everything he can to help you. I'm sure. But don't do anything foolish before that inquiry. It's not going to look good for you. I don't know what you mean. I think you know what I mean. The best thing for you to do right now is go to your quarters and read a good book. If you do anything to make the situation worse, it's going to be that much harder. Thank you, Commander. Your concern is noted. So then she goes back and checks her autopsy a second time. We need to run a tissue scan at the molecular level, calibrate scanner to pick up the titanium particles. And they do it and they find nothing. And she says there's something in the subdermal tissue. Now the field, Tetryon traces. Someone did sabotage the field. This is very circumstantial evidence. There's only one way to find out, she says. Troy talks to Captain Picard I'm concerned about Beverly. I've tried several times to talk to her, but she's avoiding me. I'm not surprised. This entire experience has been. And then Data interrupts saying there's a shuttle leaving. That's the Just Man. That's the shuttle Vegas modified. Open hailing supposed to see. Beverly's on the shuttle. So she runs the experiment and everything goes just fine. And then she says she wants them to arrest the other people for sabotage. But then she tells them everything's just fine. Look who's on the shuttle. And I still have my concerns, like I had in the beginning, that if she did the autopsy on him and he was in stasis, some stuff, blood still should have been flowing. Stuff should have still been happening, even at a very, very slow rate. I'm sending out a transient subsignal. It will obscure the shuttle from the Enterprise sensors and they will interpret as a warp engine breach. They will believe you have been destroyed. I'd like to thank you, Doctor. For what? For all I wanted to do was discredit Ryan so that no one would pursue his technology except me. But you have given me more than I could have hoped. Now I can take the prototype back to Takara, where I will develop it into a weapon. All I have to do is wait until the Enterprise is convinced you are dead and leaves. And she gets into a scuttle with him. So then we have Beverly doing a voiceover. I have been reinstated and I will be resuming my medical duties shortly. In the meantime, I have a personal matter to attend to. And she goes to see Guinan, and she gives Guinan a tennis racket. Guinan, hello. Somebody's birthday? No, not unless it's yours. It's for you. For me, what occasion? It's a thank you for giving me a good kick in the butt. Oh no, I didn't, I did some research. This is the latest design, state of art. It's specially designed to cushion all vibrations so that you'll never have tennis elbow again. Thank you, doctor. This looks like a great racket, but, I don't play tennis. Never have. And that's where the episode ends. So, let's do some nitpicking. And I'm I wish I had known about these books' existence sooner. I really, really do wish I had known about their existence sooner. Um, the Enterprise arrives at Nivala 4, a planet encased in a distortion field. Oh, wait, that's not it. While attending a conference, Dr. Crusher meets a Ferengi scientist named Rega, who claims to have invented a new kind of shielding. Back on Enterprise, Crusher invites several prominent scientists to hoping to provide Rhaegar a friendly forum to present his discovery. Four respond: a Vulcan and her husband, a Klingon, a Turian, and Jabril. Rhaegar opens the discussion by claiming that his metaphysics shield is already functional and capable of protecting a shuttle as it flies through Corona Star. And as we've just watched the episode, we'll skip all this. Plot oversights. Originally, Jabril volunteers to pilot the shuttle because he is recognized as an impartial observer. Is an impartial observer really needed for this test? The shuttle will fly into a star. Surely the test needs to fulfill two simple requirements. Did the shuttle survive the flight? Is the pilot still alive? After Crusher reforms Rhaegar's autopsy, Picard relieves her of duty, and Starfleet schedules a formal inquiry. After all, Crusher violated Picard's direct order on top of the fact that Rhaegar's family had expressly forbidden the procedure. This is serious stuff. Then when Crusher proves that Rhaegar's shield works and default that Rhaegar was probably murdered, everything is okay, fine. She's reinstated, and apparently didn't even have to appear at the inquiry. How does this change the fact that she disobeyed orders or violated Ferengi death custom? At one point, Crusher herself says that the family was more concerned about the rituals than finding the truth of how Rhaegar died. Yeah, all that's still true. She still violated orders. The episode states that Rhaegar's big breakthrough in shielding will make it possible to travel into the corona of a star. The reactions of scientists seem to indicate that this would be a major achievement. However, Kern's ship in Redemption 2 flew into the corona of a star and survived in spite of damaged shields. And the Enterprise hid in the corona of a star while a Borg ship retrieved Q in Borg 1. So, I love this book. I wish, Mr. Ferrand, could you hurry up and write a Voyager book and have it published in 2 months? Oh, I really could have used one of these for Voyager. Oh, so you want to nitpick Voyager with me? Let's do it. So, if you can go back and watch my non-recap of Frame of Mind and the 147 other videos I've done for Star Trek Next Generation, I'd really appreciate it if you could go ahead and watch If Then later this afternoon, and of course Flashback Monday, where I talk about all the books in Romantic Times Book Review. Those authors are still valid today. Those books are still valid today. Their series are still on, so hey, we're talking about a series from the beginning instead of talking about it from the end. So if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much.